Hi, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we are going to discuss about we are going to learn about the lambda expression in Java and how we can use the lambda expression to write our code in a more explanatory way. Okay, so lambda expressions were introduced in Java in JDK 8. Okay, so they are and lambda expression is a part of functional programming. So basically the functional programming aspects of Java was merged or blended into the object-oriented programming and lambda expressions were integrated into it, right? So we will understand in this video that how we can use lambda expressions. Now before we understand about lambda expressions, let's understand about functional interface. Okay, now functional interface in Java is a special type of interface which has only one abstract method, and there can be multiple methods, but those are default methods, but the abstract method can only be one. So let's try to understand this. So I create a interface named as shape. Okay, shape of any object or maybe shape 2D shapes or 3D shapes like square, rectangle or anything like that. Okay, and this interface will contain, or this interface will return a string, means it will return the name of the shape, and what the method will be, it will draw. So it will draw. So suppose this is a method draw which we will be implementing, and this draw method draws the shape and returns the name of the shape, for example. Okay, this is an abstract method. Now if we want to make this interface as a functional interface, we have to mark it with annotations. So with annotation, functional interface. Okay, now if you write functional interface at functional interface annotation over an interface, then it becomes a functional interface. And if you try to make another method, suppose you try to make a print, and this is also this an abstract method, then it will show error. It will say invalid at functional interface annotation, shape is not a functional interface. Okay, so any interface to act as a functional interface, it should only have one abstract method, right? Now this print method can be a default method, and we can just we can just return method print. Okay, method print, that's all, and it should be default, so we have to put default. Okay, so we can have as many as default methods we want in an interface, in functional interface, but the abstract method should be only one. So one abstract method in interface, then it's called as functional interface. Okay, now let's remove this default method. We only want to see about this method. Now if you know about Java programming, you may know that how can we implement this. Now the first way how we can do this is as usual and very general. You all may know that we can create a concrete class or a class which implements this interface. So let's make class name as square. Okay, and this class implements shape, right? And we do control one, here, and we get the method. We need to implement this method. Okay, now how do we how we implement is not our concern. We just will say this is a square shape. Okay, we'll just return the simple. This is a simple implementation we are writing. Okay, and we will print a statement that it is just any logic you can write, but for here I'm just for demonstration purpose we are writing sysout statement that inside, or you can say this class implementation. Okay, so this is a class implementation. Now how do we call this method? So call this method by making a object of the class. So we say s equal to new square, and we just, or maybe the better way is to create a reference variable of type shape only. Okay, and s dot draw. Perfect. And let's put it in s out so that we can get the result also. So we say s dot draw. Right, now let's print this method. So we say this is, so when we print this is, we get the result as we require: class implementation, the body of the logic, and the return value. This is a square shape. Very simple, right? Now there is another way in which we can do this. Now if we want to implement this square and we only have to implement this method, we don't have anything else. So how do we do that? For this we are using a class, writing a class and doing it. It's too much. We are creating an object of the class or object of this interface using the class and calling the method. So this is the first way to do this. Okay, and you were doing this way before, right? Second way is to use anonymous class. How to do that? We write shape s1 equal to new shape, and we get this whole thing. Now you may also know about this anonymous class because you have studied Java, of course. So here we can write anonymous class implementation. Okay, anonymous class implementation, and we return a string. We say this is a rectangle. Okay, suppose our shape is a rectangle, so we want a implementation of a shape, a rectangle shape, but we want it to be an anonymous class implementation. Because now what is the advantage of this? Advantages of this is we are just interested in implementation of this method. Only we want to implement this method of the shape interface. Rest we don't want to do anything. Okay, so in this case it's this anonymous class, using anonymous class code reduces our effort. We don't have to create a class, then implement the logic, then create the object, and then call the method like we did just now in the first way. Okay, so if we want to call it, we say s2 dot, or just we say s2 dot s1, sorry, my bad, s1 dot draw. Okay, now let's print this and see the result. Okay, so we get our result, anonymous class implementation. This is a rectangle. Fine. Now we want another one, that is a triangle. Okay, but this time we will look at the third way. Now this third way is available from, is a way which is a lambda expression. Okay, now how lambda expression works, let's understand here, right? And for this third way to use, you have to install JDK 8 or above. JDK 8 or above. Okay. Only then this will be, you can use the lambda expressions. So how to use this? So we'll say shape s2. Okay. And we now, what we have to do is, actually lambda expressions are derived from this anonymous class only. Okay. But how? It is as simple. We just write, let me write a code for this. Okay, we get a anonymous class, right? Now you see in here in this anonymous class implementation, this new shape we are writing, isn't you find it a reluctant code, or means redundant code? Sorry, not reluctant, redundant code. It is a, it's not required, right? We know that if shape is, we are creating a reference variable of a shape type, so it must point to an object of its own implementation. It will not point to anything other than the shape object, right? So that's obvious. So we just remove this. So what the Java developers, or those who were writing the at Oracle, people at Oracle who were developing this whole thing, thought, let's remove this. So they removed this code, right? Now here comes a problem. Now how do we then write this method? Now the method is public and it return types is string. Okay. Now since we are using functional interface, and functional interface only has one abstract method, right? So what the logic behind this is, the compiler should be able to easily figure out this. It has only to check infer the return type. Okay, so Java compiler can easily infer the return type. So we remove this public and string. Here also in this string draw is by default a public method. Public, if you write public here, then also it's fine because it is a public method, even if we don't write. Okay, so that's why we removed the public. We removed the public from here, and from here in implementation we remove this override also. Now we are remaining with draw. Now the purpose of the draw is, we are writing the name of the method, but do we need it? Since we are implementing a abstract method, and since there is only one abstract method, so the name of the abstract method also can be inferred. So we remove this also. Okay, and once we remove this, this is the code that we want, but only one thing is missing, this arrow, and as you can see, all the errors are gone. Now if you just want to return a statement, suppose you want to return this is a triangle, okay, then even you don't need these brackets also. That's the beauty. If you are just having one line of code, then no need to write this whole thing, and even you don't need to write return type, return, yes. Okay, now as you can see, from an anonymous class implementation, how much code we have reduced. We have reduced so much code, and our code is now very short. And if we try to implement, or sorry, we try to call this one, then let's call this s2 draw. Okay, now let's call it and see. The answer comes, this is a triangle. So the Java compiler by default, when we are using lambda expression, it detects that okay, the lambda expression is used here. So basically it is the implementation for abstract method. So remember, the lambda expression can only be used in two conditions, when two conditions are satisfied. First, the interface for which the object is there, for which we are creating object, or for which we are implementing the method, should be a functional interface. So this is a requirement. Okay. And second, it works only on abstract method. Okay. So this is how we do it. Perfect. Great. Now, suppose you want to write body here also. So if you want to write body, you just have to do is create a bracket, write some body. So you can write lambda expression implementation. Okay, lambda expression implementation. And then if you are writing multiple lines of code, then you have to mention return statement. But if you just want to return without writing any body inside the method, then you don't need to write the return keyword. Okay, then you write this is triangle. Okay, and here you need to put semicolon. So basically what we are, as you can see, is we are using a reference variable, and what reference variable is getting is we are passing a function to a reference variable basically, if you can see this. So that's a very beauty of it, and this way we can't imagine before JDK 8, but this is how the functional programming is done in an object oriented way. Okay, so now if we run this code, we will get the answer. So lambda expression, as you can see in the console, lambda expression implementation, this is triangle. Perfect. So this is about the lambda expression and functional interface that was introduced in Java 8, and this is the most loved question which is asked by interviewer. Interviewer love to ask this question related to lambda expression, related to functional interfaces, stream API, and all others. Right? We have discussed about the stream API. Okay, so if you visit to the channel, you can see that. In this video, we see about how the functional interface we can create and how lambda expressions we can use. Now, all these three have their own importance, but you need to write these. You need to know about the lambda expressions, okay, because they make your code short, readable, and concise, and that is the most important thing also, right? So all this for this video, okay, and I will see you in the next one with some more interesting topic, more interesting concepts and problems. So till then, bye bye.